There may be more than 7 stakeholders in the whole ecosystem.
Utilizing the security of Bitcoin to help secure their own protocols.
What if we can verify some computation off-chain, verify happen off-chain on Bitcoin? This is a new feature we are building.
That's really cool. I really like the 8 serial numbers on the dollar example. I've never heard anybody position it like that. And dude, I'm gonna steal that metaphor for sure. 250,000 a day. That's really impressive already. All right. Welcome to the first episode of Chain Reaction. My name is Feroz Lakhani. I'll be your host. And today we're speaking to Kevin He, co-founder of BitLayer. Kevin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for the invitation, and happy to share from BitLayer projects, and we've been in this company from last year, late 2023, and happy to building in Bitcoin layer 2 sectors. Happy to share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. It's really nice to talk to someone building in the Bitcoin ecosystem. It's been a really big narrative coming into 2025, and I know we're going to see a lot of interest within Bitcoin and Bitcoin aligned ecosystems. And BitLayer, you guys have really made a splash since last year, since you started building. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about how this came about and what exactly you guys are doing at BitLayer. So first, we're just going to dive right in. With your previous experience in the space, I know you have a lot of experience in the space. Initially, I believe you were a senior technical director at Huobi. Can you talk a little bit about your previous experience and kind of how you got into Bitcoin development from there?
I joined crypto industry in 2017, and that is a bull run. From day one, I'm building L1 and L2s, and actually I have totally launched 4 EVM-compatible chains and 2 zk up for Ethereum. I have a lot of experience building infra of blockchain. Before BitLayer, actually, I'm a typical Ethereum guy and working in the various space of Ethereum and building L1 and L2s. And I think in 2023, I think when I was helping ABCDE Capital, which is leading crypto VC in Asia, to oversee the Bitcoin ecosystem and do the DD meeting and IC meeting on Bitcoin ecosystem projects. And I think it's really interesting because we think we can do something new and build something important on Bitcoin. Imagine everybody actually started the journey of Bitcoin, of the crypto from Bitcoin. Actually, for me, and have a chance, opportunity to build on Bitcoin. That will be a huge opportunity for us. So we start this journey.
That's awesome. So you said you had a lot more experience prior to Huobi actually building L1s and L2s in the Ethereum space, or at least EVM based chains, right? So you said you started in Bitcoin or you started in Ethereum? I just want to clarify that so I can ask the next question.
Yeah. The first article I read about is about that amazing is the white paper of Bitcoin, of course. And even trying to translate to other languages about Bitcoin white paper. And it is a so simple and so clear, elegant piece of work that made me feel amazing. And the system can work in this way. It just blew my mind at that time. So this is start my journey.
Dude, that's awesome. That's like the true cypherpunk approach of like, I see the true value. It's a beautiful piece to read. Like if you're in crypto and you haven't read the Bitcoin white paper, I urge you to go do that immediately. It's a great way to really understand the true ethos of the space. And then you see kind of the evolution of that and a little bit of a dilution of that in the space that we see now in, cryptocurrencies and blockchains in general. But it's really refreshing to talk to someone, especially in the first episode, to someone that really has that cypherpunk ethos of like, this is what I read. It blew my mind. And I really wanted to spread the message, even something as simple as translating it to other languages so more people could really join in, understand what that vision is and change their lives, hopefully in the long run, by seeing that there are people trying to build something like that. That's really, really amazing. That's really cool. So quick question now, from going from Bitcoin into Ethereum and like the Ethereum landscape in general, how do you balance the need for security versus programmability? Because we all know Bitcoin is known for security. That's its core, value, that you want to make sure that it's 100% secure. Nobody cared if it was programmable. And then we move into the space where we really want to be able to do more with this infrastructure and make it more modular and give it more functionality. And then Ethereum comes out with the programmability added on top. But of course, when you add something, you have to take something away. So in your view, what does that balance look like in terms of security versus programmability?
First of all, I think I will talk several points, including the uniqueness of every blockchain, and the second is about how to deal with the demand for the user and holders. And first of all, I think every blockchain should have its unique characteristics. And Bitcoin, as its very start, it is a P2P payment system, and I think it shouldn't change that position, and it should remain to this really uniqueness and the genius idea of the very beginning, from the very beginning. So this is why Bitcoin will never change to never adopt EVM on in its layer one, and I don't think it should evolve in that direction. If they do that, the Bitcoin lost its value. So I will agree that Bitcoin will remain its position in the payment system. And second, because we actually have a lot of different category of users and holders and ecosystem stakeholders in Bitcoin ecosystem for now. According to, actually, I have done research about Bitcoin upgrades, and we have a conclusion and a survey about the stakeholders. And there may be more than 7 stakeholders in the whole ecosystem, including the miners, ecosystem, the protocol builders, that is the core builders, and the ecosystem builders, and investors and influencers, and all the state, and even the economic incentives nodes, something like the centralized exchange and custody platforms. And all these different stakeholders actually have different opinions and different kind of interest from when they holding and joining this ecosystem. Then how to balance these demands. For example, for now, this bull run actually is maybe it is initiated by the ETF, and the ETF buyers and institutional clients, when they buy Bitcoin, they think maybe how about what if can be a yield-bearing asset, and how to manage other asset management requirements such as arbitrage and hedge, something like this. How to deal with this kind of demands on-chain, especially on-chain, how to make it on-chain.
On-chain.
This is why if we just off-chain or centralized exchange is enough, actually we don't need to build anymore. we can have plenty of products off-chain. But how to ensure all this, we call it BTC-Fi on-chain. This is why we need to build scaling solution to increase its programmability, and also to increase its throughput and all the others. This is the reason we think scaling solution is important. And to conclude is, Bitcoin should remain to, L1 should remain to its unique characteristic and precision payment system. And second, we need to balance, we need to care about the demands of different stakeholders, and we need to scale.
That's a really good answer. It's a very deep dive answer, and it's a really good answer. So I'm curious, in terms of the value add for various Bitcoin enhancements, I would say, right? Like, so what BitLayer is building is one method of doing it. How do you guys differentiate yourselves from all of these other like newly popping up protocols, whether it's using Bitcoin to secure something else, timestamping? Like, there's so many different ways that people are trying to utilize Bitcoin for its security while building something else externally that just plugs in and kind of utilizes it. What is your view on the best way to use Bitcoin? Because, initially, it was supposed to be a form of payment. Now it's kind of become more of a store of value because it's not feasible to like use it to pay people for the fees, for the timing, for all of that good stuff. So how do you see that transition, and how does BitLayer come in to like use Bitcoin to really solve a problem without affecting the core L1 of Bitcoin and what its actual value prop is?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Our mission actually is building trustless environments to ensure BTC-Fi or Bitcoin DeFi happen on chain. And this is the business target for us. And how to do this? We can see a lot of different approach in the market, as you mentioned. And I generally I like to categorize them into two types. First is off-chain validation. The things, for example, the ordinal thing and something. Even we can think the client-side validation, verification, and also the side chains actually we can think as off-chain validation, which means that it is right the execution of the environment system of the layer 2 system or scaling system is work or not. It's validation, it's validated or off-chain, and we have to use some kind of proof of stake and or other maybe a social consensus to ensure it's working is right.
Yeah.
There's nothing else, nothing special strong related to L1. Another way we think really important, another approach is on-chain verification. That means we can verify things happen off-chain on L1 Bitcoin. If things go bad, we can do slash or enter another emergency mode can enable people to pack out their assets. That I think in this way will be much more secure for the people's fund and people because we can have slash and extos mode. This is why we at the very beginning we try to build this on-chain verification or on-chain validation ability on Bitcoin.
Dude, that's a really unique way of looking at it. So just curious, how do you see Bitcoin changing? Like how people actually use it, how protocols use it, moving towards the future? Like we've already seen a pretty big shift, like we mentioned just in this call, right? From using it as a form of payment to using it as a store of value. And you guys are using it specifically in your own unique way. But a lot of other protocols have popped up that have found their own unique methods of utilizing the security of Bitcoin to help secure their own protocols, whether it's a proof of stake protocol utilizing a separate implementation to write onto Bitcoin or to timestamp, or, whether it's staking Bitcoin itself to secure your network. There's just so many different unique ways. How do you see that changing in the future? Do you see like this is going to continue to grow as it is? Or do you envision another shift and another emerging way that people are going to start utilizing Bitcoin as this interest grows to come back to Bitcoin, to use it in some way? Yeah. Do you see like a newer way that this is going to make a shift sometime soon? I'm curious.
Yeah. I like this answer. And I think actually there are several functions Bitcoin have built in for, and also people when the time went by, people add more features on it. And first of all, it is transformation for value from electricity to Bitcoin and to digital assets. This is the first feature. And second, of course, it's a payment system. And then after the ordinal, people think Bitcoin can issue assets. So there's ordinals, BRC20, runes, and all things, something like this. Even though it's an off-chain verification and client-side verification way, but by adding the social consensus, people can believe that Bitcoin can also be a platform to issue assets. And third is about things we are building now. We think Bitcoin can also provide security by various ways, including the timestamp and verification. What if we can verify some computation off-chain, happen off-chain on Bitcoin? This is a new feature we are building by BitVM, and if we're lucky for now, without upgrade, we can build following the BitVM approach. And if we are lucky to have upgrades, we can build something better. And the next level is Bitcoin can earn yield. This is really important. And for now, actually, we can see Babylon is a good example. And it's providing some kind of staking yield for liquidity holders. I think it's not enough, and it should be fully programmable. It's not only be used. The liquidity should only be used in the validators. It can also need to be used in trustless in the DeFi protocol, all kind of DeFi protocol, including the lending, swapping, and others, because people actually won't pay money for some kind of validator security. don't care how much people stake there in that blockchain, but people will come to a blockchain if they have enough liquidity, because there will be a smaller slippage and can have a better transaction experience. So these people will pay for the liquidity in DeFi. Yeah, so this is how I think different people see Bitcoin can even be used in all along these years, from payment system to transformation from electricity to digital assets, and then issue new asset on Bitcoin, and then verification ability. And if we are building things, BTCFi is more important. We are going to build things.
That's awesome. I want to jump back, and I think I might have just heard you sneak in some alpha. So you said you're building off-chain verification, but you also are on-chain. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. So you said you don't need another upgrade to build it in to the protocol. I don't know if I heard you correctly. Like if there is another upgrade,
we are building on-chain verification. But we don't need upgrades. We don't need Bitcoin upgrade, because we directly using existing protocol, existing Bitcoin script to build a flow proof on Bitcoin. That means we can do something like automatic load up thing, first commitment, and batch the transaction on chain, and then wait for the time window to wait for the challenging, and then make slash. All this process can happen on chain. We don't need a Bitcoin upgrade.
That is awesome. Okay, cool. I was going to say, because I think you might have soft-fudded my bags when you started saying ordinals and runes are not actually issued by Bitcoin. And again, I love Bitcoin. I'm a holder, and I like the concept of it. It's just not very functional for the fun parts of crypto, right? And so when I started seeing ordinals, even BRC20s, I didn't really pay any attention. Ordinals, I should have paid attention earlier. And then runes came around, and I was like, you know what? This looks like very similar functionality to EVM blockchains and all these other new blockchains that people built them just to have this fun functionality, right? Obviously, programmability brings a lot of things, but the speculative trading, being able to issue these assets, is a very big part of these programmable blockchains. And as soon as I saw that really coming into Bitcoin, I was like, yo, this might be something good. There might be a future here. And to hear you say, some people think that Bitcoin is issuing assets, but it's still not, right? Can you, if you don't feel comfortable getting into this, that's perfectly fine. But just for my own knowledge, I would love to understand a little bit more about, I hold runes and I hold ordinals. They're inscribed to a specific SAT that's in my wallet. So like in my head, I am holding an asset, a fungible asset, some non-fungible and some fungible that are based in the actual Bitcoin L1. Is that accurate, or am I understanding it incorrectly? Or is it just a little bit of change in understanding that I need to understand it fully?
Yeah. About Ordinal, actually, I have wrote article about how these things work, and I give an example about that. And suppose you have paper version of US dollar, right? And some people think they can build a collection system on US dollar. Suppose if there is a prefix of number, there is a unique number on every paper version of US dollar. And some people think a series of 8, some Chinese think 8 is the lucky number. So we can build this kind of collection system based on US dollar. The more the series of 8, the number of 8, the more precious, the more value. And in this example, actually, you can see several things. The federal don't know this system, right?
Yeah.
Don't know the Bitcoin L1. Do not care about, Ordinal. They don't care about it. And for the same situation, federal, they just don't know how many 8s is important. I don't care about it. But there will be a second option. Option part is inside the group of the collectors. People think this system is the number 8 is important. People will try to preserve this unique these rules, and this is the same thing happens on Ordinal, because they have a indexer off-chain, and people get consensus off-chain and get some kind of social consensus, as I mentioned. So this is the example I give to describe, to help people understand how Ordinal works in the non-technical way. And Ordinal, actually, I have maybe had a similar experience. At the very beginning, actually, I think it is not secure enough because it's off-chain verification. There is no Bitcoin miner do not know what happens, what is shit, what they don't know that. But
Yeah.
the market do give me a lesson because people can add social consensus on this system. That makes a good protocol to issue assets. And BRC20 and
That's
Rune is
true.
actually based on that.
That makes sense. I was going to say, so even the miners, they may not know or care that an ordinal, launch is happening or runes are dropping, and they might not even know it as they're
Yeah,
mining, but they know it when they see the rewards, right? They see
they
the
like it.
interest, they see the
They like
congestion,
it.
they'd like it. Exactly. So at some point, everybody does kind of get involved, even if they don't know or care. They are still active within this ecosystem. And even this, if it's just a social consensus layer of building value
Yeah.
around something, in the real world, it is manifesting as real value for someone somewhere. And that's really interesting to see really how that grows. But it does kind of take away from the core ethos of Bitcoin, which is supposed to be security. So if you're issuing these assets on Bitcoin, they should be more secure than just off-chain indexing and just, a social consensus, right? Like there needs to be a little bit more actual architectural security baked into that protocol if that's something that's going to continue to grow and proliferate. That's really cool. I really like the 8 serial numbers on the dollar example. I've never heard anybody
Chinese like
position
it.
it like that. And dude, I'm gonna steal that metaphor for sure. I'll give you credit for it, but I'm gonna use it. I really like it. Cool,
Thank you.
dude. That's awesome. So I know we're coming up on time, so I do want to dig in just a little bit on your experience and how you came to be where you are today, like in general in cryptocurrency, in blockchain. What really brought you into wanting to work in this field at all? I know you said like reading the Bitcoin white paper is what really got you interested in the ethos of it, but what brought you to the Bitcoin white paper? What brought you just to envision this technology as being something that's going to become such a big part of your life?
Most people actually come into the Bitcoin, the crypto ecosystem, crypto business because of bull run. For
Yeah,
me,
that's true.
maybe the same. Maybe the same. When I look back at that time, it was maybe the end of my last company or last entrepreneurship. At that time, I was building gaming system and doing some building big gaming system. And the business runs good, but it cannot scale. So I need to figure out my team need to figure out the new direction. At that time, of course, the bull run caught my attention and then go to read the technical things of this ecosystem, the whole thing. I found that it's not only the money, it's not only the pump and dump and not only about scammy. There is the underlying technology in it. And at that time, 2017, 16, 17, actually, Ethereum is already emerged. And we can,
Hmm.
even in that time, people only used it as ICO system, but we do can see its potential. And we believe that at that time, Vitalik actually come to China for fundraising, and we have opportunity to hear some kind of presentation, and all these early entrepreneurs and early founders of the system, in the ecosystems. I have opportunity to listen to their presentation. And at that time in Beijing, China, we have several cafe or several coffee shop. There's a lot of people talking all about the Bitcoin things and others. And this is how I jump into this rabbit hole.
Local community meetups and literally
Yes.
listening to the founders of these new chains. That's awesome. That's a really inspiring story. Similarly, I think I got it in like 2020. But yeah, the financial aspect of it obviously is very enticing. I made some money. I
Another bull
lost more
run.
money. Yeah, NFTs were really, really big. And, after experimenting for a few months, I think I fell down the same rabbit hole you did of I see this technology that's underlying. And, I've always wanted to build something for myself and I didn't have the engineering experience, but I see that there's this new technology that is literally just emerging, right? There isn't a group of engineers that's been developing smart contracts for 10 or 15 years that has the jump on me. If I start learning now and building now and really dive deep, I might be able to actually add some value here. That's what like takes you down that rabbit hole. And, years later, here I am, and I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. It's one of the most exciting professional transitions I've ever made. And I think everyone that I speak to, similarly to what you said, is I hear like we get in for the financial aspect, we see some opportunity, and then I notice the technology that's underlying it is actually way more valuable than just being able to maybe make some money and speculatively trading. We can actually build something real and provide some value. And that's really, really exciting. I'm really awesome, like excited to hear you give that answer to that question. Cool. Okay. So I think that's it for the questions for the podcast. I know we're also up on time. Before we head out, I just want to give you a couple of minutes to, break down what you want people to know about BitLayer, about yourself, where they can find you. And then if you don't mind, if you have any recommendations for what people can read or watch to really learn more and dive deeper into the ecosystem, if you would tell us about some recommendations, I would really appreciate it.
Thank you. Again, thanks for the invitation and really nice talk. And yeah, I have to make some advertisements for BitLayer. Yeah.
Yeah. Let people know where they can find you. We got to know.
Yeah. BitLayer's mission is to make sure BTC-Fi happen on chain and in a trustless environment. And to make this happen, we need to build several components, including on-chain validation or verification ability that we can verify and make the slash on-chain that make the whole system more secure. And second, we are building, we think BitVM is a good approach. So at the very beginning, we start deep dive in BitVM in the research, production, and the community building. We are a member of a BitVM Alliance, and we are going to roll our implementation of BitVM in this week, maybe. We roll out. And according to our roadmap, actually, we have launched our V1 mainnet, which of course is a side chain in last year, April. And we actually have this is why we work very close with Anchor team to provide the RPC service to the community. And of course, Anchor is a really good partner in this service. And for now, we have used this V1 mainnet to test the PMF, the product market fit for the team, and train the operation team. We have a very strong operation team for now. We have about 250K transaction every day, and we have about 600 million US dollar TVL, and also we have almost 1 million community members included in the Twitter, Discord, and others. This is the V1. We have built in V2 in all this last year. It is the V2. It will be a Bitcoin loader. And BitVM just minimized bridge, which is rolling out these days. And the market will hear our voice in these days. There will be very important components. We call it fidelity bridge. Actually, it's a BitVM based bridge, which provide several features, including it is the most secure Bitcoin bridge in the market, of course. And second, we provide a yield market for the liquidity providers. And then it's a fully functional, fully programmability. For programmable, you can use this BTC asset in all kinds of DeFi protocols trustlessly. And this is the final bridge. And about V3, we think high performance execution is important. And it's also our team, the expertise of our team. And we think the future, when we build a rollup model, we can optimize the execution engine, maybe 10,000 TPS, then we can lower the transaction fees. This is huge for the high frequency trading program team, and that because they need it. And this is the roadmap for BitLayer. And to find us, actually, we can welcome people to follow us on Twitter, BitLayer Labs. Also, as I mentioned, we are rolling out V2, the load up and Bitcoin load up and the bridge, and stay tuned.
Dude, that is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. We're really excited to be working with BitLayer. You guys are already showing crazy metrics for V1. I can only imagine what V2 is going to bring. And V3, how do you guys have like a timeline for when we can expect V3? Because that sounds even more exciting.
V3, we are rolling out the testnet I think it will be H2, like June.
Dude, awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. First, really looking forward to V2, see what that really brings to the ecosystem. You said over 1 million community members. You said how many transactions a day? You were looking at like
250K for now. Yeah.
250,000 a day. That's really impressive already. Genuinely, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing. Again, you can find BitLayer at BitLayer Labs on X. Thank you everyone for joining. Kevin, thank you so much for being here and for talking with me today. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for
absolutely.
your invitation. Thank you.
Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.